Hello, everyone. Welcome into another episode of Wine Wednesday. Sorry we were late. We were discussing about milk, which will be the first question of the evening. If you guys drink milk whole or have it with something, let us know in the chat. We were very curious because we were not debating, but we were discussing. But anyways.
It was two people who drink milk like normal people, and then one person, guess who drinks it like a 3-year-old, where it has to be a milkshake, chocolate milk, or milk and cookies.
Yeah. I'll let you guess who it is because
Yeah.
I'll give you a hint. Huddie's having milk for Wine Wednesday, so that narrows one person down.
Mm-hmm.
What are you drinking, Dom?
I have a green tea.
Green tea. What did you have? You had that seltzer, right? Not seltzer, but you had like some.
Oh, I had the Zevia, the fake pop.
Yeah.
My mother-in-law stole all those from my house.
Oh, bummer.
So,
Dom, you're going to be either disappointed or proud of me this week. I'm not sure which. So no wine.
All right.
But I had
smoothie.
I had friends over last weekend. So do you know what that means?
Truly's.
Well, close. This time we did do White Claws, and there's a few left in the fridge. We've got peach here. I don't know if I like peach. I've never tried it before.
It's an underrated flavor for sure.
Is it? All right, we're going to give it a shot. It doesn't really taste peachy.
I don't think it tastes like peach, yeah.
Yeah, but it's a White Claw, so it is good.
Not bad.
Yeah, I mean, I like Truly's. I'm a sucker for sugar, but
you need a little bit more sugar in that, don't you?
Yeah, it's a little bland for me, but it tastes. There's some sweetness to it. So, but anyways, chat. Welcome in. Baja Express, Sly, Warren, Sly again, Mazin, Chris B. 42 of you guys in here, and I've actually noticed that and actually also along with if you drink milk normally or with milk and cookies or milkshake. Also, chat, answer whether you guys usually pop in later in the evening, or some of you just are obviously free at 7 p.m. Eastern. But I always notice towards the end is when we get to our normal amount of like 60, 70, 80 people. I think it's like by around 8 o'clock when or closer to 8 o'clock when most people have off for the evening. Whereas 7 people might be still finishing up dinner or getting home from work if they work late. Who knows? That's just my
or on the West Coast.
I'm curious if we have a morning crew and an evening crew, like some that only show up for Wine Wednesday and some that only show up for Good Morning Nasdaq.
That's a great point too. Answer that in the chat if you guys.
Well, we're missing Wayne in the morning and the night.
Wayne wasn't here either. I know he's probably on vacation.
Wayne blew
or
up.
Something. Where's Wayne? Thursday and Friday left this week. We are hoping that Wayne comes back around.
It's like take it to extremes. The channel will close down if Wayne is not discovered and found. But anyways, while you guys are putting the answers real quick, I had and it's not really epiphany, but I had what's it called? Just a realization. It wasn't a big realization, but it was just a slap in the face today that I just looked at my last 2 weeks of trading and I was like, so much has happened. Yet so little has changed. for my trading individually, nothing has changed. I've been practically break even besides like one trade. Like literally the short I had on Bull, which was like this one-off me chasing a breakdown kind of idea, worked. And everything else I'm just kind of floating around going maybe up slightly. When in reality, you look at the overall markets and just economic news and tariffs, it's like literally the most volatile time probably in the last 2 years. But yet, small caps, at least for me and my own individual trading, is just like absolutely stagnant. So pretty interesting. I don't know why I noticed that sooner, but I'm just looking at the week and like, my God, it's just like watching paint dry. But it happens. It's part of the game. Certainly better than trying to force something to happen and then end up being having a big loser, which actually does always come around every April or May for me. So I'm keeping a high alert on that. But
almost the 1-year anniversary, huh?
Yeah, I'll tell you, May.
It's gotta be like May 15th or 20th or something like that.
May 16th was the day of.
I know that because my golf trip's coming up.
Yeah. And I can't let that happen this year because I get married on May 17th. So there needs to be some strenuous lockdown going into
I think
May.
there's actually good data on the months following the wedding, and usually it's not good for trading.
Really? You've done that? Is that from personal experience or from
I know
data
me
collected?
And other people. I feel like they are like, oh my gosh, it's not just me anymore. and then they get all this pressure from trading, and it's like crap.
Shit. Yeah. Well, my honeymoon is not immediately after the wedding, but it is about a month after. So we'll see how the traveling and trading goes. But typically I've done okay in those periods, but we'll see.
You're gonna trade on your honeymoon?
No, so I
Get a life,
well, it's a
man.
long. So in Huddie, in your, I know you would not agree with me, but you would see my point of view here that the honeymoon, it's also like Kyle and Kelly take Europe trip. Like it's 3 weeks long. So sure, can we have a 3 week honeymoon? Totally. But also I kind of sat her down. I was like, listen, I'm not taking off 3 weeks. Like there'll be a week where, that'll be our dedicated honeymoon time. And sure, many of the other 2 weeks of the three, I'll certainly leave and I'm not going to work 7 hours a day. Obviously we're going to go do stuff and then just trade it from my phone. But I was like, someone's got to pay for this honeymoon, and I'd like to make it back while we're on the trip.
We're just gonna ex-nay 1 month of the 12-month year.
Yeah, exactly. So, and she understands, So, anyways,
And I also just thought about it. If you mix trading and traveling, you get trading. Combine the words.
combine the trading and travel. There's no D. Wait,
Well, you do TRA from traveling and the DING from trading. So trading.
it's tradeling. I don't know. I see where you're going there.
But I feel the same way. I feel like I did really well the last 2 days of the first week of April. Then I had 1 day in the second week. And then since then, I've had all green days except one, but they've all just been like half an hour, quarter hour. And it's just like, there's just like nothing's worked. Like a couple plays I've been in have been right there on the edge of like greatness, and then I break even. And it's like, all right, I'll take my $200 and head to the make the watch list for tomorrow. We'll try again. But I don't know. For some reason, I feel more positive about that because I feel like in other times in my life, I would let that get to me and then have pushed, and like my loss in HTZ yesterday would have been even bigger, or, like some other random big loss or series of bad losses would have came from it. Mm-hmm. And instead I'm like just chugging along green day after green day, which I think shows maturity and growth.
I would agree. The lizard part of my brain, or the caveman part of my brain is like, logically I acknowledge the sideways just chop. But then emotionally I'm like, but you need to make something happen. Like, let's get in there, But yeah, that's a dangerous voice to listen to because it could lead to things that don't do that, do the opposite usually. So
I'm all sorts of fucked up here. The last time I had 2 consecutive weeks losing in a row, like 2 red weeks in a row, was May 2024. Okay,
Really?
That was the last back-to-back weeks that I lost in a row.
I did that in May as well, but I've had plenty since.
Right now, I'm on a 6-week, if I include this week, it's not funny, losing streak. It's just like, what do they say in Batman? The Dark Knight, what is it? Returns? The third one. Rise.
Dark Knight Rises? No, that's the second one,
says,
I thought.
She says, no, that's Returns.
Yeah, that's Returns.
She says, it's the slow knife that hurts the most. And then she stabs it.
It
right
is.
in the fucking, ugh. And that's what I'm going through right now. There's been many weeks where it's just can't get it going. Fortunately, the loss is relatively controlled. It's just painful to like just not be making money.
Right. You're going through the death by 1,000 paper cuts feeling.
Taylor Swift.
I've lost Monday. Monday's been torturous.
Every Monday.
Monday, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Mondays in a row where I've lost. So every week I lose big on Monday, and then I spend the rest of the week trying to get back to green. It's just horrible.
You got to change Money Monday to No Mercy Monday. Just coming at you every week. Interesting. That's
Moody Monday.
Moody Monday.
Moody,
Don't talk to Huddie on a Monday. He's all sorts of negative.
But the wear and tear is real. I mean, the good part is it's probably a number that you can recover from in just a couple solid wins, but you just the markets aren't giving them to you, so you're crawling to really just go nowhere, which is very strenuous emotionally. So I get it. Just hang in there for better times to come. Hopefully around the corner. I would hope.
It's got to be coming soon. I smell it. I smell like a 2-week stretch where we're gonna get like 5 runners.
What's it smell like?
I'm curious.
Smells like I don't smell it.
Like my raw post.
You don't smell
pot
it at
roast
all?
this morning.
The house does smell like pot roast. I could smell it in the basement. But I don't know, because like everything I said about I would have normally like lost during this period, and I'm not, and I have such a good mindset that I feel like maybe early May, if not the next 3 days of next week, like something's coming, something's brewing, and it smells like I'm not sure. Now I just got pot roast in my mind.
Strawberries? I'll go buy strawberries
It's sweet.
right now.
It's something sweet for sure.
It's sweet. It's tasty.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, it makes you feel like you want a sugar rush.
Is it whole milk?
I'd love some whole milk. It smells like whole milk.
All right, great. I got some whole milk.
But I feel like we have not gotten a lot of stuff. Like in the past 2 months, there have not been a lot of A+ opportunities. Like,
is it a tingle feeling?
I just feel like it's coming. Like, when something good's about to happen to you, and you're like, this good stocks.
Right.
They're coming.
All right, I'm ready for it. Eyes wide open.
Just
That'll be
remember,
nice.
I called it.
Yeah, well,
You want to know
clip
why
it.
I called it? Because it always happens. And Huddie's finally talking about his drawdown, which means it's going to be a thing of the past in like a week. Like, that's how it always works. You get frustrated, you get angry, you talk about it, and you're like, a week later, like, why was I ever sad? Look how great the market is. That's what always happens.
That's what Wine Wednesday's for. You got to talk about the things.
No, I'm happy you talked, but I'm saying because then it's going to be like, oh, why was I stressed about it? Look how it's easy. It's all back now.
Stress? Think about quitting? Never.
Never. I was like watching some video about retirement or something in the last couple of days, and I'm like, I don't like. It was like, don't run away from something. You have to run to something new. And I'm like, what else would I do? What else could I? How could I ever leave the market like for 5? Like just not look at it or trade it? Like,
It's hard. It's hard. It's a
I
hard
couldn't
thing to
imagine.
do.
I couldn't imagine.
Yeah. Once you're in, it's hard to get out. I would agree.
We're hooked.
Anyways, so sorry, we bombarded chat with questions, so a couple mixed answers as we go along here. So Lucas drinks raw milk. Fernando usually is in the evening because it's more chill and relaxed, but it depends for a Wine Wednesday. Lucas also usually joins late, but listens to us on 1.5 speed to catch up. Interesting. Warren says he loves both. But if I can't attend, I usually watch recordings. Nice. Mark says whole milk for sure. Chris says both, but he never misses Wine Wednesday. He'll just watch later if he misses. Mark can make the mornings, but Wine Wednesday is tough because he has a kid and is at flag football practice. And he says, flag football practice is happening, so he could be just AirPodding it up or headphones it up while he's watching his kid play some flag football. Listen to us. Wow.
You're doing great, Jimmy.
Yeah. Right. Don't worry about it, Jimmy. Keep playing flag football. Like, gotta listen to what Kyle Dominati's saying. That's funny. Very nice.
Yeah, William says, nice shirt, Dom. And William, we've been missing him in the room. He's taking a little social break.
Is he? I know. I haven't. It's a great
So
point,
he's
William.
trying to get rid of distractions because he gets tempted by a lot of people talking in the room about ideas and stuff. And so he's trying to just quiet all that, which I've done before. I ended up never going back to social media. But yeah. How many likes to get William back in the room?
Oh. Let's hear it, William.
We need him back. How you doing, William? Since you left, is it a super positive experience?
Let's see what his answers are. I lost my train of thought here. Oh,
Sly Cosine says, does anyone know the lore of Wayne? Is he the Bruce Wayne of stock trading? Some might say. Some might say.
committed Clover stream viewer at day, Batman at night.
Oh, Wayne's here.
No way.
Oh, he is.
Oh my God, Wayne's here.
Wayne,
I was
we were worried about you, Wayne. We didn't see you in the chat in the morning.
We were about to put out one of those fire alerts, red
PPV
alerts.
or something. What
Missing
are they called?
person posters.
Yeah, when you get on your phone. We're worried
APB?
about you, Wayne.
Is there
Welcome
an
back.
APB? All points bulletin? Yeah, that's what it is. Person of interest.
There we go.
Welcome, Wayne.
Wayne's in the house.
Greg says, Dom, thanks for the USAR call today. In traded it at 10:08, out at 11. Nice.
Nice. Super slow and boring, but I'll tell you what,
Give
it
it up for
was an easy
Greg
hold and it
Gaines.
worked.
I didn't even. I was,
Yeah, I
la-
bought
I
it
was
like
lazy. I didn't even look at it.
950
I didn't even know Dom
11.
made a trade today.
Check the alerts, baby.
Yeah, very nice.
Winners only.
I shorted the gappers. I set my stops. I left for the whole day. I just got back.
They weren't very exciting.
No.
Fernando says, no honeymoon. Your wife is trading in the market. I like the responsible Kyle. No, I mean, I want a honeymoon for sure. I just 3 weeks MIA is tough to do, So I'll do it a week. I'll commit to it for a week, but the other 2 will be part-time trading from the phone if I can. That would be a perfect situation. In fact, I actually did that last summer.
On your last honeymoon?
Took the huge the annual honeymoon. Last summer, I took my FFIE loss, and then I went to Europe, and I actually was
on a cruise?
Half cruise, half
okay,
I guess land, regular traveling. And I was swinging after the FFIE loss. I was swinging on the backside for quite some time throughout that trip. I remember starting to look at Thinkorswim Mobile on my phone at 10 a.m. because that's when pre-market starts over in Europe, and so I made some pretty good money. I didn't make all my losses back, obviously, but I did. June was a good month, mainly because of that swing. That was all mobile, so that's kind of cool.
I remember when you were in the pool or something at the resort. Maybe that was 2 years ago, 2 or 3 years ago. It was SOUN, and you were swing shorting it.
And
you're like, on my second mark, new lower high.
That was I think that was last March. I was that was another cruise that I went on, and yeah, I was just, I don't know, it's just funny. Like, it was just during the day, and we were at some beach in the Bahamas because that was the pit stop of the day for the cruise, and everyone's drinking, and I didn't want to work, but I was in this SUN position. It was really good, and I knew it was going to be good. So then I'm just on my phone, just Marg in one hand, Thinkorswim in the other. I'm and we're in a pool, and I'm oh. Yeah, that was fun. That was cool. Anyways, SB asks, so what, skateboarding ESPN? Is that you? Oh, that is your name. Can you please explain how growing an account with compounding works? Are you risking 1% of your account on every trade and stick to that as your account grows once you find an edge? ? SB, we got this question this morning, and I was just telling everyone how we get this question more times than not. And this will be the 31st time I've answered it, but I will give it to Huddie or Dom first and see if they want to answer it, but I'll happily answer it if they don't.
It sounds like a Huddie question.
I was thinking it sounds like a Kyle question.
Although I like the way he asked it, though, because he's like, how does the compounding work? Which is not necessarily how people ask it. So I like the difference in perspective here. So using the 1% of your account is a very legitimate way to do that, in my opinion. That's what I did. So I had a $6K account when I started, was risking, honestly, when I first started, I had no edge at all. I was risking much less than 1% because I wanted to keep my account alive. I was risking $20, $30, $40. Finally, when I found some consistency, I said, okay, I'm at the least staying break even, if not making a couple $100 a month. Let's get to the 1%. So if my account's 6K, we're going to risk $60. Then it went to 10K, then I was risking $100, then 20K, then $200, etc. And naturally, your account will compound because if you stick at that 1%, as your account gets bigger, so does the 1%. And again, if you have a profitable strategy, your risk reward is likely in your favor. So if you're risking 1R to make 3R, and that 1R is 1%, but the 1% 6 months ago was $50, and then the 1R now is $100, and your risk reward is the same, well, 6 months ago, your 1R was $50, and if you made 3 to 1, you made 150. But now, if it's 3 to 1, but your 1% is 100, now you're making 300. So you're making double the gains because you're willing to double the risk taken, right? And so if you just keep doing that, and then extrapolate it out to millions, I have let's call it $1 million account. I'm risking 10K because that's 1%, and my risk reward is still 3 to 1. Well, now my average gain is 30 grand, but my average loss is 10. Right, so that is how the compounding literally works. Now, granted, this accounts for the fact that you don't pull out money from your accounts. This doesn't account for the fact that if you make money, you have to pay taxes and pull money out of your accounts to pay those taxes. So there's maybe a delay in the growth or the compounding. But again, if you're relatively smart about keeping money in your account, or relatively responsible, I should say, in doing those things, like that's how the compounding effect works. So hopefully that answers your question. What's the best broker
Add
for
two zeros, click it twice.
Yeah, shout out. What was the guy's name last week? I forget his name.
I don't remember. It was
like,
awesome.
Add a zero, click it twice.
One of the funniest things I've ever read.
Yeah, just kidding. Don't do that. That's very aggressive. That's not the 1% rule. That's the well. If that
It will
was,
compound if you catch 5 winners in a row.
that's called the if you add a zero, click it twice. That's called the 20% rule, not the 1% rule.
Maybe more.
Yeah. What's the best broker for shorting in Canada? We have got IBKR, Interactive Brokers here, but they have no shares to short for almost anything that I try to short. Good question.
We're not Canadian.
We're not Canadian, so I can't. Yeah, we don't know for sure. I think Cobra.
Trade zero?
Does Cobra have foreign stuff?
They do. I'm pretty sure they're in Canada. Don't quote me on that. I would check with them. If they aren't, if Cobra's not in Canada, I know Centerpoint is in Canada. I know Trade Zero, I believe. Don't call me on that either. I've heard maybe.
What about Zimtra?
Yeah, Zimtra's for anyone outside the U.S. They're not a broker. They're more of a prop firm. But again, joining them, they do give you a broker to use, obviously, as their own prop firm. So that's a different approach, but is an approach I've seen people do. So yeah, those are some options for you.
You got options.
I'm looking right now.
Brand
on
new
Clover's
whip just
website.
hopped in.
Are you looking for dilution set or Sly asks, looking for dilution setups?
Oh boy.
How do you spot fluff PRs? Any patterns, for examples, would appreciate it. Thanks. Fluff PRs. This reminds me back to when Michael Good was still teaching, and he had a presentation at like some conference about like having a whole rating system for how fluffy he thought PRs were. It was pretty impressive stuff. I do not have that, so I don't really have expertise on how fluffy the PRs are. The only thing I really know how to do is whether the PR is super good or just neutral. Like I don't have a read into it. And what I mean by that is like if the PR has a billionaire investor, right? HCZ with Bill Ackman just recently, or the PR has this massive company is buying shares, NVIDIA with SOUN, or not buying shares, but has shares of the company, NVIDIA and SOUN, and what was the other one? Serve last year, right? Like, I think we disconnected. Hold on. Are we still here?
I think you're good.
We're good? Well, you guys can hear me. Oh, no, reconnected. Oh, we're good.
Tom, is that a real mustache?
No, I put it on.
This thing.
Okay.
But
It tripped me out for a sec.
yeah, it's the little thing. We forgot the filters. We had the filters a few months ago. But yeah, so it's like I know what PRs are good, like great. I don't necessarily look into the PRs of how fluffy they are. I don't know if you guys have a different experience. I just take the guilty until proven innocent approach. So like if they're not super good, I kind of assume the PRs are always fluffy, and then the price action will tell me how legit it actually is or isn't.
So Cobra does have non-US.
There we go. Perfect.
And as far as the next question goes, I was looking into the whereabouts of the non-US Cobra stuff. So Huddie, why don't you take this one?
What's the next one?
How do you spot fluff PRs? Was that it?
Yeah.
Gosh, you guys are thinking too hard.
Yeah, I mean, look, like I don't think Dom and I even really read the PRs, to be honest. I mean, except for
I
in
try
Good
to
Morning
get
NASDAQ.
Huddie to read it, and I go, "What is that all about?" And he goes, "What ticker?" And we skip to the daily chart. So they're all fluff except like very one-off situations where there's like the billion word is used or like past phase 3 for a biotech. Like I didn't listen to anything Kyle said, so I don't remember. But usually the good news is so few and far between that it's all fluff.
Even like the earnings, like sometimes they're so exaggerated or sometimes they're so like inflated that like you can't even trust the earnings statements on some of these like small cap. Like all these companies for the most part are horrid. So it's like what Kyle said. Like if Bill Ackerman is investing in Hertz, which is a real company, like that's probably not something I want to go ahead and short on day one. Unless it like, spikes and goes to like 20, 30, 40 for some stupid reason. Like there's no like price arbitrage there. So, but everything else that I see, like, oh, company got into AI. Well, did they? You know?
We're changing our entire
They
business model to
they
the hottest new
installed
thing.
GPT.
Oh, we're using NVIDIA. Oh, we're using Microsoft. Oh, are you?
There was that PR with Mark that got delisted for that. That was crazy. That thing ran too on such a dumb.
They ran hard. They had a great first green day.
Well, they ran hard because they alluded to working with Microsoft without actually saying it, and then they PR'd what it actually was in after hours, and it was like we're just using their software. It's as if I PR'd myself and said I'm partnering with Microsoft. Look how cool I am, and then I told you guys, yeah, I just signed up for Microsoft Excel. You know?
No, you got the whole office, Microsoft Office.
I did, yeah. Microsoft 365. They gave me Outlook. They gave me everything. But yeah, pretty big deal with Microsoft. They know me in the office. But yeah, so assume most are fluff until proven otherwise. Speaking of which, Flashnet says SE or CEP running in after hours. That one I actually wish I was long because that one has legit news. They are with Cantor Fitzgerald, SoftBank, and Tether. They just IPO'd this company, but brought it through de-SPACing it to pretty much be a Bitcoin company and buy Bitcoin on its balance sheet. And if you don't know Cantor, Tether, or
it's
SoftBank,
a shell company.
They are massive in the space, so it does not shock me. It's up 85% today. I didn't see it until it was at 15, and why I didn't take it seriously to buy it, I don't know, because I should have. But oh well. SK, what are your takes on order flow? Trading using Bookmap with red areas and green and or blue bubbles shortcut. So I have looked at Bookmap a couple times in my life, and I found very minimal value of it. I honestly didn't even look at it enough to really understand what you're talking, like those red areas, the green bubbles, the red bubbles. I was never given the debriefing. What I mainly was using, or not using it, but looking at it with just to try to see when there were any orders, and that was specifically on like scams, and that has not been used by me in quite some time. So no, I don't have any thoughts on any effective edge in using the Bookmap.
I've never used it.
Yeah, I had to pay like
Especially for
$50 extra
laptop
a
legend.
month at like Thinkorswim to get it, so it wasn't really worth it long term.
What are you guys you're talking about the book maps?
Yeah.
Don't know what it is. I know more about the Magnificent Seven.
Wow, he's got the name right this time.
I did it on accident. Sorry. Yeah, I don't know. I know volume.
It's like, how do you guys feel about Bookmap? Yeah, I watch price. I watch the upticks, the downticks, the whole shebang.
I change the font sometimes of what it's telling me.
It's like, yeah, I've heard of VWAP before. I'm a big deal. Fernando says, you three are the best team in trading school in the industry. Almost are also the most transparent. Thank you, Fernando. I appreciate those kind words. I'm glad to hear that.
Tell everyone you know.
There you go. Yeah, tell your grandma. Tell your kids. Let's see.
Wayne walked away for a few days.
Eric in the chat. Along with William, Eric, dude. Eric, we miss you in the chat. I've not seen you in a little bit, Eric, and I miss your little charts you share and your lovely, kind soul. Where have you been, Eric?
Why are you calling his charts little?
Did I say little charts?
Whoa.
Yeah, whoa.
No, usually big P&Ls. He's usually making high 4, low 5 figures. He's usually crushing it.
Big charts.
Big shots. William retracted a statement, William. Oh, then he reset it. Okay. I've been much more focused. Was on a good move. Then it came back. It was easier to focus. Read charts at 11 a.m. Excuse me. Yeah, it was a huge distraction, but I understand now I don't have to read everything. Can read it later in the day. Great idea. In fact, William, to be totally transparent with you, as much as I'm in the room, I am guilty of doing the same. I'm usually so focused on my own trading that I actually don't read the room as much as I probably should, and then I read it later. So great solution there, in my opinion. Flashnet says, one of my favorite quotes from Kyle is, holding is a skill. Please give any tips on holding winners longer if you guys have any chance. Thanks. Dom Huddie?
Well, you got it right the first time. It is a skill. And you have to know the situations where it actually is a net positive to be more patient. We talked about this a lot in our webinar yesterday, me and Kyle, kind of talking about my plan for HTC. This was before it kind of failed today. I think it actually looks better now. But I had a plan from the start to be really patient on that one, as I do on stuff like Fannie Mae, BBAI, SOUM, like big picture daily charts with lots of volume, a lot of the quantum stuff. But not every single play deserves a lots of patience. I don't want to be super patient on a super low float breakout that is a short squeeze or a liquidity trap, right? I want to take what I can get as quickly as possible, take the meat of the move and move on. Stuff like Fannie Mae, I want the whole pie. I don't want any little meat of the move. I want everything, from start to finish, the entire move. But you have to really understand your setups and when that makes more sense. Most first red days, Kyle probably doesn't want to hold all day and be super patient. But on something like Bull or NMAX, these recent IPOs, stuff like we've seen fade all day, fade super hard, SMCI, MSTR, like one-off type of plays where it pays significantly more to be extra patient. But that's not an everyday type of thing. It's a very specific set of criteria that's needed to be super patient, or it can become your identity and you have to understand that you want bigger winners, you want to be more patient, you're going to have a significantly smaller win rate. I think Qual Magi said he has a 20% win rate. Most of you probably can't live with that mentally. I probably could, but most people probably couldn't. So tips, start holding a piece longer than you normally would. So if you're normally like, you start to sell a piece, another piece, and all of a sudden you're all out, hold 1/10, 1/5 until the backside actually ensues, or till a wild price target that you've created, and get in the habit of just being in a stock longer than you normally are. And that's really the best. I mean, as far as you got to do it. It's one of those things you got to feel it, feel the emotions that go along with it, watching unrealized be on the table a little bit longer and be okay with that. And once you start to trust your plan and your thesis and your idea that being patient's a good thing, you're going to start catching some bigger winners.
Any thoughts there, Huddie? Or no?
Yeah, he said a lot of words. I wasn't listening, but I might repeat them. I think it all comes down to having like a big picture mindset, right? So you're looking at big picture daily charts, you're seeing, let's just take it from a first red day perspective. Like once you see 1, 2, 3, 400 first red days go down, you start to have a general expectancy of like how far these things kind of drift off in a day relative to how big their move is. What's a realistic target? And then what does that look like relative to your risk reward? And then it's just kind of like mapping out your trade and saying, okay, like where can this stock go? What is reasonable and what do I want to hold patient to? Because I think this will happen, 60, 70% of the time. And a lot of times that's worth holding till. So it's just really it's like a screen time thing, but it's like, in my opinion, where people get messed up is like, you're trying to be patient, you're trying to be patient, but then like in the times that your big picture setup isn't there, people are scalping and they're over trading and they're convoluting their minds with ways that they're taking quick losses and or like quick gains and maybe situations that they should be. And then that kind of tendency spills over to like big picture setups that you should be patient on. So it's really just about like focusing up and focusing on like the big picture charts that are extremely extended and having a good price target for them relative to where they came from.
Yeah, the only other thing I'd add there is I don't remember when I said holding is a skill, but I do remember maybe why I said it. And it's along the lines of like, I remember when I first started, I mean, I couldn't even hold a stock for 2-3 hours without getting antsy or losing sight of the trade plan or just lacking confidence, etc. So it was just a matter of practice of just holding for longer and longer and longer and longer till it got to the point of like, I can hold a stock practically forever if the trade plan allowed itself, right? And so it was a matter of practice and developing that, endurance to be okay with being in a trade with risk on the table. And it wasn't like I was looking for that. It was just a matter. It grew into that, right? Like Huddie and Dom said, like I had trade plans that over time I got better at, or I got setups I got better at, and then realized some of these setups led to not just a 2-hour move, but a multi-day move. And so then it came, okay, well, if the trade plan stays the same, I just let this thing play out longer. And then with that practice of letting things play out longer, it just gets, I mean, you do it for so many years and so many trades. now I'm holding it. I can hold stocks for months if I really wanted to.
Your biggest trade.
Yeah, for years, really, and almost to the point where I just turn them. I just call them investments. They're just in there. I'm just holding them.
MSTR wasn't years, was it?
He was talking about Bitcoin.
Yeah, I was thinking more Bitcoin, but MSTR was about 3 months, 3 to 4 months there.
And you were up a lot the whole time, so.
Yeah, I looking back, hindsight, I had a very solid entry. But yeah, so it just takes time, practice. Flashnet also asks, what's the account opening minimums for Venom? I believe it's 1 to 2K. Pretty low.
3,000. I just looked at it.
Oh, Don just looked. So it was higher than I remember. 3K. Very doable.
You think that's crazy for a DOS broker to be allowing? I feel like that's a good thing.
So what Venom is, it's actually a good solution. If I had known this was available, I would have done this when I first started. But they're able to do it because they actually are clearing through interactive brokers, but they're giving you the customer support and technology of Cobra, right?
So you're not getting better borrows?
Technically, no. You're not getting the true clear. You're not getting the clear firm that a 30K account would have at Cobra. But the reason why I like it a lot, though, because for those who have used IB, their customer support is awful. So having at least Cobra to communicate with is much, much better. But yes, unfortunately, but again, if I were to go do it all over again, I would still probably lean towards IB because using someone like Trade Zero, the fees are so high, they're going to eat you up. Versus IB, the fees are free. There aren't really any. It's just, can you get the borrow? Can you find the borrows? And again, that's the tough part. But, when you're first starting out, you have to think about, missed opportunity, or you get every opportunity, but you either lose money on the opportunities or you just pay out the wazoo in fees. So it's a double-edged sword you have to kind of battle until you get enough to open up a 30K account. So Fernando, question for Huddie. What is your win rate percentage of accuracy, or just win rate percentage of your systematic strategy?
What does the accuracy of my win rate mean?
I would just ignore that part. Just what's your win rate of your systematic approach?
I would say it jostles between 50 and 73%.
There we go.
What'd you just say?
It jostles.
Jostles.
Jostulating.
Which one? Which number?
50 and 73.
Which one's at 50?
What do you mean?
Are you saying like in different market environments, it could be as low as 50?
In different months, like month by month. Like if I'm not going like just overall the year, like month by month, like sometimes it's 50% on the low and sometimes it's like 73 on the high.
There you go.
Gotcha.
That makes sense. Jay says, what's up, guys? Not a question. Just wanted to let y'all know I improved my win rate from 21 to 46% in the last couple of months, and I had 2 profit months so far for the first time. Jay, everyone give W's in the chat. And a round of applause for Jay. Very nice. That's over what? That's a double. More than a double. What? Double and a 10th? 20 to 120%?
Double and a 4.
Yeah. Add a 0 and double it. In the win rate. Nice. And then 2 profit months because of it. Keep it up, Jay. That's how you do it right there. It's a secret sauce. William says, Huddie, I hear you're trading framework. What patterns and how are you going versus gap and creps?
So the 2 main framework trades that I'm willing to trade right now are definitely first red days. Like definitely first red days. I feel like I've always had a good grasp on those. And breakouts, specifically like the 3-day breakout that I keep seeing happen over and over and over again. But I'm willing to trade all sorts of breakouts as long as they fit my criteria. So how's it going? Like, it's been pretty hard for me to do the skill thing of holding winners longer. I started doing this, I guess, last week, and there's been 2 first red days in my book, NB, which did an offering the day that it gapped down. It's a pretty sick first red day chart, and I had a pretty good entry at 350 on that one, and I just didn't hold it long. My price target was 3, and I didn't make it to 3, so I didn't make much money, but it was a win. Felt good about that. Just like kind of mapped out the trade in the pre and hit it when I was supposed to hit it, and had good size behind it for what my account should be risking. And then AREC, that was another good one. Like another first red day chart, was able to nail the morning move quite well. And then even got a short on the bounce back through red green and into 140 kind of like a first red day bounce short, which I've played thousands of times. And that position I wasn't really able to hold too patient with and ended up breaking even on it. But it was the right idea for sure, at least for me. So I felt pretty good about both of those. Both of those risk was in check. Entry was perfect. I really liked how I played it and how I mapped it out on my watch list. It kind of worked exactly how I thought it would work. Um, so definitely just want more charts like that coming up. And as far as multi-day breakouts go, I haven't really nailed one, but SBEV was on the watch list. I just wasn't at the computer when it broke out. HTZ is one that's not really working in my book, but I'm playing it. So I'm willing to play those two, and then I also like I have two others that I'm playing that will have less risk than predominantly like gapping craps, first red days, and multi-day breakouts will have the same dollar risk. And then if I am to trade a gapper discretionarily, or if I am to trade a reversal like Dom discretionarily, those will have much less risk. And I haven't really given that an attempt yet, but I'm willing to do it because I've seen Dom have a lot of success on the reversals, and I know the criteria quite well from watching trading tickers too. Um, so I want to try that, and then I also still like the stocks that gap up and run super hard. So I want to find a way to attack those if I can.
Very
That's
nice.
I like when the gappers like gap up and they go on some type of like parabolic move right out of the gate, and then I kind of use my systematic approach to nail the parabolic movement. I'm still willing to do that, so that's more of a discretionary thing though.
It's like discretion
So
meets
five
systematic right
patterns.
there.
Yeah, I'm trying to let the data guide me, which is that like it doesn't even matter if these things are gapping up 70% or plus. Like a lot of these are going to fail, so it's really just like what type of price action am I getting? What type of fundamentals am I looking at? And and does it spike enough for me to warrant a trade? Is there room for it to come down? So five patterns that I'm willing to do. And I've downsized big time on the gapping crap so that they're no longer like my main focus. I definitely want to get back into these first red day stuff. That's gonna be a big one for me.
There we go. How does Zimtra compare to brokers you guys use? Question mark. So I guess I don't know if we're really equipped to answer this question just because we have never used Zimtra and we technically never can because Zimtra is for outside the U.S. only. What I can tell you is what I've learned when I actually met their team and when me and Huddie went to Colombia. Very cool people. They're a prop firm, not a broker. So like Cobra, you'd give Cobra money. That money is entirely yours. You trade it, you lose all your money, you're done, right? Like that's all you're gonna get. You're using them to trade stocks, right? Zimtra is a prop firm where you will give them money. They will give you leverage if you choose to use it, but you can only ever lose the money in your account. So similar approach. Both brokers and Zimtra are going to have a risk management system where like you can't really. They're going to make sure you can't lose more than what you gave them. But Zimtra is much more willing to lend you more money if you want to try to be more aggressive, which, I was never a big proponent of as a beginner. But again, not every beginner is the same. If you want to knock your socks off, give it a shot, whatever. I think it's risky. But again, leverage has always been around and people will never not use it as much as I think it's risky. But that being said, though, because they give you leverage, I think, remember if I said this correctly, Huddie, you have to split your profits 90-10. So you'll keep 90 and you give them 10 as like the fee for allowing to use their leverage. Their money they're willing to give you to trade with and trade for. So that's how it works from my understanding. Now, what their software is, how good are they? I haven't used them, so I can't answer those details, but that's what I learned when I met them. JD says, how's OTC markets? I've been trading futures for the past year. JD, you have missed absolutely nothing. Go back to futures. I wouldn't even attempt to look into OTCs. Besides Fannie Mae, everything else is doo-doo, in my opinion. So Eric misses us too. Eric, I'll say it once, I'll say it twice. We miss you. Miss you in your face.
Say it again for the people in the back.
In the back. We miss you, Eric. Brad says, Kyle, you're mostly short biased. Yes, I am mostly short biased. That is correct. some more comments from Flashnet. Nice. Helping out with the questions, of course. Matthew asks, Dom, can we get a full 360 office tour?
No.
Straightforward. Nope. I think he knew the answer to that question. He just was going to ask it anyway.
Yeah, he knows if the camera gets moved at all, what a pigsty it is.
I hear you. You got the camera.
It's a set, okay?
Yeah.
When they're filming in Hollywood, you don't see all the people standing around dropping snowflakes and blowing wind.
Holding the mic.
Yeah, seriously. You did that really well. Have you done that before?
Maybe my past life. Oh, God.
Andy says, Dom, is that album best day ever behind you? It is. And then Taylor Swift right behind it. I like me some Mac Miller. Nice. But Andy, real quick, how are you doing? Andy was at the boot camp. He's a college kid who's absolutely killing it. Great numbers. Only trades 2 long bias patterns. But hope you're doing well, Andy.
Yeah, Mr. Jawa. Interesting question. A lot of W's in the chat earlier. Nice. Or I guess later. I'm reading them later. Warren asked, as teachers getting the same questions over and over again, are there any questions you don't get enough of? Ones that traders should be pondering and asking more of? Very good question. And again, I don't mean it harshly earlier about the sizing up question. You know, again, I know understand that comes with the territory as teaching. Like I've repeated myself hundreds of times. I'll do it hundreds more. It's just so funny that question comes up, at least in the most recent, what do you say, guys, 3 or 4 months? Like that's come up almost like once a time I go live somewhere. It's like that question pops up. And the only reason why I bring it up though is because like it almost unfortunately shows people who've been studying or not, because like how do you watch any of the previous live times we've gone live? Like that there's the answer there. So they're asking it again, knowing, they didn't watch it. And again, it's fine. That happens. That's part of teaching. But it's just funny when I can tell that by just a simple question. But this is a good question. I don't know if I have an answer. Do you guys have a question that
I'm thinking
is not
hard.
asked enough, but should be asked more of?
I don't know if I can think of an exact question, but you'll understand if you watch enough of these streams, if you come to our webinar. Our webinars the questions are usually a lot better because people are surrounded by us 24/7 all week long for months, and they know how we teach and what they need help with, and we can give long-winded answers. But I find that in a lot of these free streams that we do, questions are super not unrelated, but a lot of them are irrelevant to like the day-to-day life as a stock trader. And I wish people would take a much more simplified approach. It seems like the more we don't know, the more we think we need to know. And we ask about those things. Like we get questions all the time, and you hear us chuckle and go, Huddie, you would never do that. Dom, you never do that. Okay, next question. And you probably don't get a lot of information from that. But it's because it's like our brains are filtering out so much information so quickly when we look at a daily chart, when we look at dilution tracker, whatever it is, and we're making decisions really quickly on yes or no. Is this something I should be watching? And so I wish people would just simplify the game more. Like, you guys need to understand what Kyle does is like top tier level trading with the smallest amount of information. Like, the guy doesn't think that hard. Like I say, I'm an idiot. Kyle's not an idiot. He uses his brain. He knows what Bitcoins are. But like the guy, and this is like the biggest compliment I could ever like, in which is why he's like a big mentor to me. It's like he doesn't do anything that I can't do. Right? All of his skill sets are learnable. Like, you can learn how to stick to 3 or 4 patterns, how to manage risk in an effective way, how to slowly size up over time, and like how to rinse and repeat. Like, the best traders in the game are the ones who can do that for the longest period of time while sizing up. And like, Kyle's still on the upward trajectory. Like, how can you simplify the game and be so good at the little things? Like, I wish we got more questions about your own individual stats or your win rate or like the important stuff that we focus on that makes us better. Like, every week we're not like, what's the global economy going to look like next week? That's really going to play a role in JNVR's potential next month. Like, that's not stuff that we think about. So I wish there were more dialed in questions to what really matters about small cap trading.
That's a good one. You have one, Huddie? And thank you, Dom.
Dom made me think of one. Um, I remember when I used to like go to Gritani webinars, I would always kind of come with like, "Hey, Gritani, here's a stock I'm watching. Here's the setup I'm looking for. Here's what I'm thinking of risking. Like, what do you think of does this qualify?" I'd be like, "Does this qualify? Like, can you run through this ticker? Can you review it?" And I feel like most times people aren't asking about tickers. Like, there was one Wednesday where people ask about like personal stuff, and it's like you guys have us for an hour. You guys can ask any question, especially in webinars too. Like I'm actually really, it's probably more even webinar based or even chat room based, where it's like if you're watching something like and it's like and you have a question on it, I feel like those questions you should ask. And whether you agree with our opinion or not, that's up to you. But at the end of the day, like if you're calling something a breakout and it's not a breakout, like that's going to be a problem, you know, long term. If you think something's a first red day and it's not a first red day, that's going to be a problem long term. Um, if you're trying to trade a big cap like a small cap, that's generally going to be a problem long term. So just making sure that your focus is in the right area, making sure that you're calling a squirrel, all that's really important. And I feel like a lot of times people are just kind of quiet and just like you know quietly trading what they want to trade. And in my opinion and from my experience, probably over trading with a lack of focus. So making sure that we're not doing that is important.
Beautiful. Yeah, I'm trying to think of a question here, and I don't know if I have one. What I will say, and this is maybe more, I don't want to make this sound too mean because that's why I'm again back to the first point. Like I'm here to teach, so I'm happily willing to repeat myself over and over again. What I will say though, it's not necessarily if they ask questions, but how many they ask in general. And it's not a bad thing to ask questions. Like I 1000% agree with Huddie. Like when you have access to us, like that's your moment to really get your bang for your buck, especially in webinars, to like ask us the questions that you need to be answered. But I will say there also is a factor of like someone who really dives deep in material, depending on what material they dive into and depending how good it is, right? I'm not saying all materials create equally, but like when you really dive into it and you watch it enough times, the questions you have almost disappear. And I know that's not true for everyone, so I'm not saying this is an absolute. I'm just speaking from my own experience where it was almost like an eerie thing where I had a question, I wrote it down. Next webinar I was going to go and come into, I was going to ask this question. But the webinar was, say, 2 or 3 days from now. So I was like, all right, I'm going to write this question down, but I'm going to keep studying in the meantime. And if I still have that question by the time I get to the webinar, then I'll ask it in the webinar. It was like 10 times in a row. I had a question. By the time I kept studying, I had the question answered before I even got to the next webinar. So I felt, I almost had a period of feeling like, of questioning, was I even a good student? Because there was a period of like, I never asked questions, right? Not because I didn't want to, but because like every time I had one, I just kept studying and I found the answer myself. Now, again, I understand that people's learning styles are differently. Some people can't only stare at a computer or listening to videos. They have to be live and interactive like we do with webinars. I totally get it. Again, I'm fully with the territory that comes to teaching. But I will say there is a factor of like, sometimes you don't have to ask the question. It's out there. It's just, are you willing to find it, right? And again, there's no right or wrong way. It's just that was my experience very early on teaching, or not teaching, being the student of like, I got most of my questions answered without ever really having to ask directly. So different experience, but okay. Last couple of questions here before we close it out. Hello, Joseph says, Dom, can you give an example of a recent long you took and felt good about? Setup, exit, entry. Thanks, Borowski.
I DM'd you the daily and the intraday, but that's AREB reversal. And in 30 seconds or less, you have a run from $1 to $21. And you're not showing on the stream, are you?
The chart? No, I can, though, if you want me to.
Oh, well, that's why I sent them to you. But if not, I guess it doesn't matter.
Let me just pop it up. Let me see. Oh, wait, why can't I? I have a chart up. Let me just pull one up here. What is it? What's it? AREC?
AREB.
AREB.
But yeah, if you listen to what I teach and the patterns we talk about, pretty quality reversal here. Move from $1 to 20. 3 red days, closing red each time. And the volume qualifying every single night. And then on the intraday, what do we get? I talk about 5 minute high breaks where a stock sets a high, consolidates for at least 5 minutes before breaking it. You know your risk level, you know your entry. You buy over high a day, you risk low a day, and you are gifted with a move from the fives to the 12s. I think I sold it all. I bought at whatever that is, 630, sold at an average of like 950 to 10, I believe. That was a great day because I also nailed JNVR that day breakout. But yeah, that's a solid play. That I don't remember what was the question exactly. An example
give an
of something I
example.
felt good about. Yeah, I felt good about it, but I don't really feel good about trades. I'm super negative about all the trades I'm in, and then some just work. That's how my brain likes to. I would rather be surprised and happy that it worked than like get all excited about it beforehand and then lose and be depressed. So if something fits criteria, I take the trade. I am trying to be a systematic discretionary trader where I don't have any opinion anymore. The chart tells me what to do, and I just do it blindly.
Very nice. Daniel said, just open an account with Cobra, and I'm new to DAS Trader. Nice. Was wondering what routes you guys prefer using, and if you have any tips with DAS. Very quickly, the route Rebel 25 is Cobra's special route that will either have free ECN or actually pay you an ECN if you are giving liquidity. And by giving liquidity, I mean you are sitting on the bid to buy or sitting on the ask to sell. So it's kind of like as long as you're doing that, you actually are, you're not going to make a ton of money, but you can, make up some of the commissions by getting paid in ECN fees versus paying them. And then any tips with DAS? I mean, DAS is a little bit wonky, a little bit complicated to get used to.
YouTube.
Yeah, YouTube is going to be your friend. Even the broker is going to be your friend. Like, I would not hesitate to reach out to Cobra. They're a great team of people willing to help, and they're happy to help you navigate DAS and get the charts how you want them. So, all right, one last question here. Dom, do you want to pick it, or should I just find it?
There's not a lot. Sly cosine, it's not a question, but just again, we like hearing when people like us. You guys are the most real and transparent group I've came across. College student, hearing you make me feel like my trading journey isn't completely alone. We know where you've been. We've been there, and we're happy that you like our community. Tell 5 people to subscribe.
Get the channel to 7K or whatever it is, right? But yeah,
Get the channel to 7K.
I think we all started trading in college, so we know exactly where you are right now. And if we make you feel at home or connected, that's the whole point of the community. So happy to hear it. That's great.
All right, last question. Do y'all try to pyramid, or do you think a safer risk level is best? I feel like I never heard the word pyramid, and then in like 1 year, Huddie started saying it 100 times. Like, I'm like, did we all agree? Like, we all read a book or something? Like, it was in a movie? Like, when did
I did first hear about pyramiding in a book when I was reading a bunch of trading books early on in my career, but I didn't. Being a newbie trader, I didn't really understand what pyramiding was. I just knew it was a thing. And then finally I realized when I would add to winners, I was like, oh, this is me. This is my version of pyramiding for this setup. Like I got it much later on of what it actually was, but I was familiar with the term early on. I just was, an ignorant newbie about it. But anyway, sorry. What was your point, Dom? What were you saying?
there was a question.
So I'm answering.
Do you
now?
try to pyramid, or do you think a safer risk level is? I don't know what that.
Yeah,
those are exclusive.
Right. The question confuses me a little bit. I'm willing to pyramid if it means I think the odds of the trade working are that much greater by breaking a certain level. And if I do pyramid, it means I'm adding size, and as long as that size is willing to be cut at a stop loss that I'm willing to accept that loss. And I deem that risk level decent enough or enough to my standards where I think it's a good risk level to pick, then I'll go for it. I'm not necessarily scared to do that. And I don't really think about it as pyramiding. I just think about, is there a new level to add? Yes. If I do add, can I pick a new level to adjust for that increase in risk? Yes. Okay, great. Then we go for it. It's almost like an oxymoron when you say the safer risk. Like any risk level I pick should be safe. Like I'm never not picking a risk level that I think is not safe. You know what I mean? Like I wouldn't take a trade if I think the risk level is not comfortable enough for me to take. So anyways, hopefully that makes sense.
Yeah, mine is basically I'm always trying to pyramid, but I only do that if I have a new risk level and it's the best risk level. If I'm always choosing the best risk level, then the plan kind of takes care of itself. And the only question I need to answer is, do I want to risk my unrealized profits to make more money if it works? Or am I happy with taking small money if it fails now that I'm moving my risk up? And if not, if the answer is yes to the first one, then I add more size and move risk to break even, or move. I still have 1R, or I break even, or I just keep my average where it is and move my risk up, and I make money if it fails. It's kind of the same question as the being patient one or skill and holding. I think adding into a position, having new averages, having higher averages if you're long, lower averages if you're short, can mess people up and screw up their trades. So I think it is a skill as well. But that's how you risk 200 and make 10 grand. The only way to do it is usually by getting aggressive at some point and tightening risk and adding more size. So that is something as where I focus on risk reward the most. It's something that I need that to really maximize winners.
I haven't really pyramided too much since 2020 or 2021. But I remember like back then, like the way that I had like these crazy months on 1 or 2K risk was I'd buy like an OTC breakout at like, let's call it like 360. It would spend the whole day consolidating between like 4 and 360 for like 2 hours. And then there was a moment where at close, like closer to the afternoon, I'd be able to buy four with like whatever that risk reward was to 360 and add to my position. So I got another 2K risk to 360. And then whether I used unrealized profits to kind of like negate the first 2K or not was like a whole other question. But like that was a situation that I did a lot during the pandemic, and that's technically a pyramid situation, and that paid massively during the pandemic. But it was really something I only did on OTCs when I got like very specific price action that aligned. And I can't say I do that much anymore. Like I think that most of the time, like if I like my entry and I think the pattern's triggering and I have my risk intact, like that's where I want my size. And I don't want to start like, oh, the pattern's moving in my direction. Like, let me chase it higher and buy more. And then like it dips and I like scare myself out of my whole position. Um, which I think often happens. So like it really depends on like the rhyme and the reason why you're pyramiding. I've done it in the past. It's great, but it's got to be purposeful. It can't just be random. It can't just be like, oh, like I like this dip. Like we went really high and now we're back low. Like let me add, because then you're just gonna have like a really bad plan.
That's a good point. Well, anyways, guys, that is our time. If you guys didn't get your question answered, feel free to always show up on Wine or not Wine Wednesday on Good Morning Nasdaq. We'll be there tomorrow, 8:45 Eastern, or in the chat room. You're more than welcome to join in there. We're there, not 24/7 because we sleep, but if you ask us a question in the chat, we will get to it when we see it. So, yeah, a lot of great
Words
questions
of wisdom
tonight.
from William Gregory. Just don't say HTZ thoughts, bro.
Is that what he said in the chat? Oh yeah, just don't say. Yeah, that is.
I love it.
There's some words of wisdoms. I would agree with that. All right. Well, anyways, everybody, have a great, lovely rest of your Wednesday night, and we'll see you tomorrow morning, bright and early. And yeah, peace out.
Bright and squirrely. Have a wonderful night.
Bye.